Black Ops 6 Zombies is finally here, and I thought I would bestow some of my big brain knowledge on you in the form of 30 tips and tricks. There's some beginner stuff in here, some more nitty gritty stuff, and hopefully it'll help you out with your zombie killing career. And if there's anything I miss, any tips or tricks you want to add, then comment down below. First up, you can actually pack-a-punch your melee weapon. This isn't like Cold War where you have to have it separately. You'll always have one with you, so when you pull it out by holding the melee button and walk up to a pack-a-punch machine, you can actually upgrade this too. It also does more damage than hitting them with the butt of your gun, so it's a pretty handy tool. On to number 2, dolphin diving does little to no damage, so make good use of it and flop around all you want to your heart's content. Imagine you're at the top of the Kino de Toten stairs and just clear a whole horde of zombies. Because of how little damage it does, it means you can mess around with it more and freely just jump around and not have to worry about taking damage all the time. It's just another good mobility option. Up next, Liberty Falls is already great for camos and daily challenges. When you're on the camo grind, you don't want to be running around like a headless chicken on Terminus or something. You need something simpler, more straightforward, easier, more open. And so if you are taking on the challenge of the camo grind, it's best to do it on a map that's going to give you a lot more leeway, like Liberty Falls. You can run circles around the streets or the bowling alley really easily and just mind-numbingly get them kills up. And speaking of the camo grind, unlocking them doesn't require leveling up a weapon. That means that if there's a certain category of weapon or just one particular weapon that you absolutely hate doing, but it's necessary to level up the weapon for hours just for the camo, then you can be at ease knowing that it's going to be a lot less painful to do now, and it'll keep the uninstalled demons in your head away. Switching over to the modern era of zombies, like in Cold War onwards, points have been changed around pretty much every game. There's no consistent point system anymore, and Black Ops 6 is the closest one we've had to Cold War, but it's still a little different. In Cold War, a melee kill and a headshot, aka a critical kill, would grant you the same amount of points. However, now a normal kill will give you 90 points, a melee kill will give you 105, and a critical, aka headshot kill, will give you 115. Melee lovers are in tears right now, so if you are wanting to min-max your points, you're best off just getting a gun and going for headshots. It's unfortunate that melee doesn't stand just as tall. In Terminus and Liberty Falls, look around for keys. Sometimes enemies will drop them, and make sure you grab them, especially paying attention to the rarity, because these can be used in order to get some good gear, including weapons, perks, and sometimes even wonder weapons. And I'm not trying to flex, but I did get a ray gun the first time I ever used one. In Terminus, the armory you can get to use these keys and also just have a small respite, it can be found in the stamina up room, just to the left when you go down the stairs. And as for Liberty Falls, it's a little different. The next one here is the giant vault Easter egg. When you go into the bank, you'll see this huge, cartoonishly sized vault. I'm not making a Fallout reference. But if you like Fallout, I've done a Horizon video, sorry I had to plug it. In Liberty Balls, what you have to do is find 3 codes. They're on little post-it notes, and the places you can find them are inside of the bank. You'll see it just on the counter right next to the vault. The next one is in the comic book shop, and you'll see it just underneath the counter on one of these little shelves. And the final one is at the bowling alley, just where this bar area is. Whack the bucket out of the way and the number will be just there. Then go to that vault, input the code, and make sure you have one of those keys before you go in, because I didn't. I got a few points, but my 2 brain cells came around pretty quick when I realised I couldn't get anything. Tip number 8, when in doubt, water is there. I'm gonna make a prediction and say this doesn't only go for Terminus. If there's other maps that have water, I'm sure it's gonna be the same. If you're about to get dropped and swarmed like you're in a game of Left 4 Dead 2, one of the best approaches to get out of danger is just diving into the water. Yeah, it sounds kinda mad, and don't overstay your welcome. Zombies will throw meat at you, them zombies throwing the meat around, but it gives you more than enough time to relocate, heal up, and get your bearings before the horde come bull rushing you. Tip 9, don't waste points on the box early on. The weapons are not worth it. Eventually in your game, the weapons will change in rarity. They'll be way more worth what you actually put in, aka the 950 points you spent, or more if you didn't even take any of the weapons because they were all cheeks, since the rarity will be bumped up significantly later on. Meaning the old strat, like back in the day, back in like BO1, BO2, where you'd go and get the box as soon as possible, really isn't a good idea now, because the weapon you will get is gonna drop off pretty heavily in a matter of rounds, whereas the better rarities last much longer. I'd say anything from like a blue up is probably the best bet. Unless you hit in the box for the wonder weapon and you actually end up getting it, then power to you. So I advise to be patient and wait a little bit, and the value of the gun you're getting for the points you're putting in is gonna be a lot better. The same thing can also be applied to wall 4 weapons. They scale together, so you can usually get a good read on what the box is going to give by looking at the war buys. This change seems to happen about every 5 to 10 rounds, so if you can hold off on that war buy for a few more rounds, you'll probably be much better off. Whilst we're on this topic, I might as well get the next one in here. Number 11, weapon rarity over pack-a-punch. I'm not saying literally don't pack-a-punch until you get like a purple rarity weapon. What I'm saying is, if there's one you really had to pick from, it would be weapon rarity. The thing with the Cold War zombie system, and especially the BO6 zombie system, weapon rarity simply just outshines pack-a-punch or greatly adds to its effect. That's not saying pack-a-punch is bad, it's worthless, it's useless, because a packed grey rarity weapon is going to be better than a plain green weapon. But when it comes down to it, even just a blue rarity weapon can pop off really hard. And look, I'm sure there's going to be times where pack is better than raw rarity, but it's not to be slept on. From what I've tested, this blue SMG keeps pace with this pack-a-punched grey AR. They seem to have scaled it about the same here. It can be just as good, sometimes even better, than pack-a-punch under the right circumstances. The true best thing you can do though is go for both. I can't stress this next one enough. Don't hesitate to pop your Gobblegums. Look, we've all done it, I'm guilty of it, just look at my Skyrim inventory. In certain games we get items that are honestly pretty good, and as you pick them up you think to yourself, they're worth having until I need them. You know, not this really hard encounter, I'm sure the next hard encounter will do. That's when I'll use it. That's when it'll be worth it. And although sometimes you do end up wasting certain items, in Call of Duty Zombies case, you'll realise that you're 4 DLCs in, you've done all the Easter eggs, you've mastered the art of speedrunning them, and you've gotten to round 2050, and you've still never popped that Perkaholic. It would have made things a lot easier if you did, and now that you think about it, all those times you definitely could have used one. Yeah, this is a pretty common trap for not just Call of Duty Zombies, but lots of other games. I've done it with too many to count, so I am sending this message to you, this warning. If you feel like using that Gobblegum, if you think the situation calls for it, then pop the Gobblegum. You'll be able to earn it back, you'll have some fun with it, and it will serve you well. Don't be too afraid of using it and keeping it in your storage for the next 5 years. You'll thank yourself later. I said that you'll be able to earn those Gobblegums back, and a little thing to know that's pretty useful is that you'll see this Mr. Peaks kinda spinny slot machine thing. This is going to determine the Gobblegum you unlock, and it's a weird system. Sometimes you'll get 3 Gobblegums from one spin like I have before. You might also get only 1, which seems to be the most common, but as to how often you get them is also a mystery. At first I thought it was about every 5 rounds, that's when it would always line up in my games, but then upon going through even more matches I noticed that there wasn't really a specific round in which I would be filling up my Gobblegum collection. I've earned these as early as round 4, 5 or 7, but then I've also earned them as late as round 15, 25 onwards. I've just played a match of Liberty Falls and I got none, and I got to round 12. I may have died trying to grab the jet gun from the box. So the tip here is, the system is random as far as I can tell. It just kind of happens sometimes, or sometimes it doesn't. I always seem to notice getting mine between like rounds 4 and 10, so make of that information what you will. It seems that there's no system in place, it's just down to RNGesus. Now that Gobblegums have returned, you're gonna need to have them in a pack ready for when you drop into the game. Back in BO3, I never made use of these, even after the shameful hundreds of hours I've put into the game, but customize your Gobblegum packs. I don't mean just use one and keep swapping Gobblegums out every time. What I'm saying is, organize them. It'll save you a lot of time and it'll let you switch between in an instant before you hop into a match. For example, I've got one for more casual matches, and I'm making another one here that's for Easter egg runs. That way you can kind of have an idea as to what you want in the Gobblegum pack, and make better use of the stuff you have lying around. From what I can judge whilst I've been playing, there are definitely weapon types that are way more dominant than the other. The ones that are in the top 3 I would say, from lowest to the absolute best, are SMGs. They're very fast firing and lightweight, you can just breeze around the map with them, and mobility is important in this game. ARs because they are the all-rounder, the classics, good size magazines, good range, good damage, and they're not too heavy. They've always been a staple in zombies and continue to be one today, but shotguns, much like Cold War, are the top for me. The Marine SP, it's reminding me of the Hauer. Treyarch, please don't nerf this thing. It's not like it's incredibly broken or anything, it has a lot of damage and it just slaps. Making its way in, try and focus on upgrading one weapon in particular. Pack-a-punching, ammo mods, weapon rarity upgrading, it's gonna get expensive. Doing this for 2 weapons, or at least trying to, is gonna result in you having 2 very medium stage weapons, when what I found to be the best approach is to just focus on one. Pack-a-punch it to 3, upgrade it to gold, put the best ammo mod you can pick on it. Ammo's never really a problem in this game. The game basically just shits out bullets for you to pick up right at your feet, and the end result is you get this menace of a gun that will chew through the hordes and sweep up the rounds in no time. And once you get enough points, that's when you can maybe branch out to like another random gun and just fully upgrade it straight off the bat. Although at that point you're probably carrying a wonder weapon anyway, so I doubt you'll want a random LMG as a secondary. If you want a creamy boost of points at the beginning of your match in Liberty Falls, walk up the stairs of the motel and go to one of the end rooms. All of a sudden a horde of zombies are going to crash out and you can kill them all for points. This should be a nice help for that early game setup. Back in Cold War there were 2 types of salvage. There was the green tier salvage and the blue tier salvage. These served as separate currencies, so you could use one to buy equipment and the other to upgrade your rarity on weapons and armor. Now that's changed. Green salvage is all that's in the game now. That is the primary currency instead of it being split into 2. So now workbench is where you get the equipment, like your self revives, kill streaks, that kind of thing, and the armory vendor where you get your ammo mods and upgrade your weapons, now use the same currency. This isn't particularly bad, but it's good to know this and keep it in the back of your mind so that you can look at your scrap and plan accordingly as to what you want to prioritize, kill streaks or weapon rarity, because I couldn't imagine the crushing feeling of buying a sentry turret or something and then realizing you could have upgraded your gun to a delectable purple tier. Trials are going to be a good way to get some loot. Try and engage with these pretty often, and it's going to be even better if you're in a team, because if you all work together and the closer you get to getting all of these challenges done, the higher your reward is going to end up being. To start them, all you need to do is keep an eye out for this whimsical looking machine. Just go and interact with it to start. You'll get your objective and try and carry them out the best you can. The reward will go all the way up to legendary, and you can grab salvage, points, equipment, and even wonder weapons from them. Moving on, I had to put this one in here as just a reminder to anyone that's forgot and also anyone that's new that perk change is still a feature in these games. All you have to do is go up to a perk machine, prone, and you'll get 100 points. Double points do carry over to this. Another good way for free points on Liberty Falls is to go to this pool table at the bowling alley, shoot the balls that are just sat there in the middle, and they'll scatter around the table, going into holes, and whatever demigod is watching will be pleased because you'll get 100 points from it. When it comes to the vast pool of augments, know that you can only track one at a time. Not one perk, one ammo mod, and one field upgrade. No, literally only one thing. So choose wisely, and considering how slow that progression is going to be, before you even hop into a match, as soon as you hit level 11, save and quit your game if you're in one, go and track an augment ASAP so you don't waste any time in walking this long road. I've mentioned in this video that mobility is an important thing, and the dolphin diving is one piece of that. Sliding, sideways running, tactical sprinting, it's all tools that have been given to us, and they can be used pretty well in this. Given how aggressive the zombie behavior is now, and how cramped maps like Terminus are, I'd recommend taking about 5 minutes to just play around with the hit detection. Slide through gaps, look for good mounting spots, shortcuts to vault through, diving over zombies, because there are some nifty little things you can learn that will help you out. Like what I mentioned earlier on Terminus, where if you're surrounded, you can just jump into the water below you. Or on Liberty Falls, if the stairs are cramped when you're coming down from the church, instead of getting sandwiched there, you can jump onto the grass and hop onto the bus for a quick escape. When you're out in the field, you need to watch out for Abomination attacks. They've caused me so many downs already, and if the right attack hits you in the arse, that's it, GG's. It can ruin your whole game. Besides the giant laser beam, you know, that one's really annoying, always has been. I'm talking about the one where they start shifting their stubby weird legs and then dive headfirst into your direction, and if they hit you, it's going to stun you for a few seconds. This is going to leave you really vulnerable, because I don't know what it is with the way the zombies spawn in BO6, or maybe it's just the placement of the maps. You can get knocked into a forming horde super easily, or you can get thrown about into the wall, and then you'll be stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you'll be in a bad position. A lot of the time, this happens when you're not looking, so whenever you see an abomination, either get rid of it as soon as possible, that's probably the best thing you should do, or keep a close eye on it. One hit from that charge can completely rattle you, and leave you tilted beyond belief as you're looking at the lobby. Armor is upgraded through wall buys now, not going to the armory station. It's expensive, but it's worth it. The 4,000 points you dish out to get the second armor slot is the equivalent to buying the Bowie knife in the older zombies games earlier on. It might not seem like much at first, but it's an investment. Terminus is criminally cramped, so this next one goes out to that specifically. Because every match I've been running around like a lobotomized golden retriever, sprinting down the tight hallways and getting bottlenecked at the stairs, but I've managed to find a training spot that works pretty well for me. It gives you a lot of options for escape. You've got about 4 4 different exits you can take, and it's in the center of the map. It's right next to Pack-a-Punch, and you can make good use of jumping and mantling. The only thing that weighs it down are the zombie spawns. It can get a little chaotic, but for the most part it's fairly smooth sailing. It's the storage area that's on screen right here. The best part about it is one of those escape routes is completely busted. You can jump right where the Pack-a-Punch platform is into the water, and that's it. You've just avoided all danger. And then to get back up, if the Pack-a-Punch platform is already down, you can just ride it straight back. This spot is a lifesaver for me in Terminus. The effect of your ammo mod has a cooldown, so it's not going to pop off after every single bullet, as much as I would love to see that, but you'll notice that every so often it will go off. If you need that effect to trigger at a certain time, you can kind of just loosely time it in your head. For every 15 to 20 seconds is when the effect will go off. It seems to do the trick for Napalm Burst and Deadwire, and I believe it works for Brain Rot as well. As for Cryo Freeze, it's much weaker, but it goes off more often. So a good strat for if you want your ammo mod to take the reins is to shoot, wait for the effect to go off, run around and train zombies, let them build up for about 15 to 20 seconds, then fire again. In the Dark Ether Church in Liberty Falls, you can shoot crystals here to farm up supplies like salvage and equipment. Certain kill streaks are the ultimate get out of jail free card. This hasn't changed from Cold War. When you're surrounded, simply pull it out and the zombies will leave you alone for a bit. So if you're red screened and you're about to kick the bucket, activate the Chopper Gunner, or if you're a lower level, a Hellstorm works great. And to round it off on my favourite one on the list, number 30, if you're on Liberty Falls, you'll notice that there's a lot of cars everywhere. These can actually be used to your advantage by blowing them up, but the best part about it is when you put a C4 on the car, round up a horde of zombies, and then detonate it. The explosion is going to be bigger than what the C4 or the car could do on its own, and it's effective at killing the undead. And there you go, 30 tips and tricks from a zombies athlete, a professional. I would never lie about such a high status, to aid you in the survival against the impending horde. But anyways, I'm going to leave this video here today. If you enjoyed or found this helpful, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts on Black Ops 6 Zombies down in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. I feel like there's some good discussion to be had. And subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, you won't regret it. Turn on the notification bell too to stay notified whenever I upload a video. Consider becoming a glorious, exceptional channel member today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.